Act 3, scenes 5 and 6 are both very short, so I'm doing those together. Scene 5, we see the witches, and many people think that this particular scene was written by someone other than Shakespeare and inserted into the play much later. It lacks the same kind of rhythm and it lacks the same kind of tone as the other scenes about the witches. But we see Hecate, who is the queen witch, and she's coming in and she's chastising the other for getting involved in Macbeth's life without her permission. She's furious with them, and she tells them so, that they had no business messing with his life the way that they have done, interfering in that weird way, that fate, changing his fate without permission. She ends by saying, and you all know security is mortal's chiefest enemy. She talks about Macbeth, that people want security. And not having security is a big enemy. This is a very true statement on human nature. We all want to be secure. When we feel insecure, we change the way we approach life. And this is his biggest enemy right now. Then she takes away, of course, she goes in a foggy cloud, it says, and leaves. And that's the end of scene 5, and now we are at scene 6. We see Lennox and another lord, and they're talking about all of this stuff. They're talking about that banquet. Everybody would be talking about the banquet, and Macbeth having seen that ghost. And Lennox is saying, things are sort of strange. Things are really strange in the kingdom right now. Here's what I'm thinking, he says. The gracious Duncan was pitied of Macbeth. Marry, he was dead. And the right valiant Banquo walked too late. You may say, if it please you, Fleance killed for Fleance fled. So he's going back to saying, everybody blamed Malcolm and Donalbain because they fled. So if we're going to say that's what Macbeth said, then, well, we may as well say that Fleance killed Banquo. So it's pretty strange that all these people are dying around Macbeth, people who are close to Macbeth, and then their sons flee. Very sarcastic, men must not walk too late. Who cannot want the thought how monstrous it was for Malcolm and for Donalbain to kill their gracious father? Damned in fact how it did grieve Macbeth. Did he not straight in pious rage the two delinquents tear that were the slaves of drink and thralls of sleep? Was that not nobly done? You hear the sarcasm? Oh, Macbeth, he killed those guards in vengeance out of the murder, and they were just lying there asleep? He's saying, suspicion just dripping from Lennox's speech here. Aye, and wisely too, for 'twould have angered any heart alive to hear the men deny it. Anybody would have not wanted to hear them deny it, but especially Macbeth would not have wanted to hear what they had to say. So that, I say, he's borne all things well, and I do think that had he Duncan's sons under his key, if Duncan's sons were here now, around Macbeth, and he says, and please heaven, he shall not, please heaven, keep him far away, they should find what 'twere to kill a father. So, in other words, if I think they were here, I don't think they would be safe from Macbeth either. And Fleance too. So should Fleance. But peace from far broad words, and cause he failed his presence at the tyrant's feast, I hear Macduff lives in disgrace. Because Macduff didn't show up, I hear now he's next up on the list. Can you tell me where he bestows himself? This anonymous lord, we don't know who he is. He is just another one of the nobility, but he says, well, here's what I hear. All of this is just the exposition to let the audience know what's going on. He does say, well, here's what I hear. Malcolm is in the English court. He has gone to England, and we knew that, and he has asked Edward. He calls him the pious Edward because this is the king who was called Edward the Confessor. He was very, very religious, spent more time in prayer than he did actually ruling, and during his reign things sort of fell apart because he didn't spend much time paying attention to the country. But he says he's gone to Edward to ask for help to come back and overthrow Macbeth. Macduff is gone over there too to help him ask the king and to send a general. The general's name is Seward, to come back and so that we can eat and sleep in peace and not live under the rule of a tyrant. Macbeth has just gone out of control and not be afraid for our very lives. So we are hoping that they're preparing for some attempt at war to come back and free us from Macbeth. So this is what we find out here at the end, that this is happening in England and that they will be coming back probably to have a battle where now it is the nobleman against Macbeth. All that is going to take place from England with the help of the English king and the General Seward coming back to fight Macbeth. Notice that the Thanes, Macduff and Lennox, all now are siding with Malcolm as they move towards dethroning Macbeth.